Hello, my sweet doves. Welcome back. If you haven't noticed, there's a new background and I can explain. So basically, I just moved to a different part of my bedroom. I'm still in my bedroom, but I was just getting a little bit tired of my desk table setup. Part of the reason is because I do try to dress up a little bit every time I do a video, and I felt like the desk was stunting that for me. And also, I was just thinking about my older videos a lot recently, and I really liked my older, cozier vibe of me just sitting on my bed. And even though this is like not a very cozy vibe right now because I haven't decorated this wall or anything, well, technically I have decorated this wall. I put one painting, one print up there, and you just can't see it because it's out of frame. But I'm thinking about decking out the walls behind me and then seeing how that looks. I might hate it. I might go back to my desk. Who knows? Another thing you might notice is I have a different microphone, and this is my first actual microphone upgrade. The microphone that you were seeing in my previous videos on my desk was the microphone that I had been using for a really long time. And the only reason people thought it was new was because it was closer to my mouth because it was on my desk. So it was picking up the sound better. Whereas before it was out of frame and on my bed somewhere. The reason I got this mic was because I just wanted something to hold, and I really like the more retro hand mic feeling of just, talking. I don't know what I'm doing, but I thought it could be cute. So yeah, this is my mic now. We're trying a lot of new things lately. Today we're going to be doing a video on Fran Fine's fashion in The Nanny.
What's that?
That's The Nanny.
So The Nanny is a 90s sitcom, and it was recently put on HBO Max earlier this month, so I thought it'd be a good time to just revisit the series. If you need a little recap, The Nanny stars Fran Drescher in the role of Fran Fine. She plays a bridal shop sales girl from Flushing, Queens, New York. And in the first episode, she gets broken up with by her longtime boyfriend, who is also her manager. So she also gets fired. And she goes and finds a new job and subsequently lands a job as the nanny of Broadway producer / wealthy widower Max Sheffield's 3 children. And no, that's not a spoiler. Please don't get mad at me for that, because the entire thing that I just said is recited in the show's intro sequence, the fabulous intro sequence that never changes throughout the entire run.
She had style, she had flair, she was there. That's how she became the nanny.
The show takes a lot of inspiration from Drescher's personal life and her Jewish New York upbringing as well. The Nanny is one of those shows that I think is known greater for its impact on fashion than for the actual plot, at least with younger millennials and Gen Z.
We knew that we wanted her to have a specific look, and I said, this is going to be a major part of the show.
I remember the first time I heard about the show was via Tumblr, because someone had posted a bunch of Fran Fine outfit compilations onto Tumblr, but I hadn't actually gotten around to watching the entire show until this year. For this video, I basically just want to cover how to get the Fran Fine look. I'm going to go in on the anatomy of her style. I'm going to talk a little bit about behind the scenes info when it comes to costume design. And I'm also going to share my thoughts on a couple of her iconic looks. So let's get started. First, the general things on nailing the Fran Fine look. The form fit. I feel like contemporary costume designers don't get as much attention or respect as period costume designers, which, can be seen by the Oscar nomination categories for Best Costume Design every single year. The fact that Clueless, for instance, didn't get any Oscar nomination for costume design is truly baffling, considering how much of a cultural touchstone the movie's costumes were and still are today. Especially Cher's Dolce & Gabbana plaid yellow suit.
Clueless bridged a gap between this grunge period, and then now fashion was fun and girly. You went from a period of time where it was just cool to just not care, and jeans and your flannel and whatever, and now to I care, and I'm gonna make really cute outfits all the time. And you're welcome, and I'm sorry at the same time.
Though I do want to add that Fran did the yellow plaid look first in the second season of The Nanny, which came out in 1994, and that was 1 year before Clueless premiered. The account What Fran Wore says that Fran's suit is by Jean Paul Gaultier, but honestly, it looks to be the exact same outfit as the one that Cher wears, down to the black trim at the hem and the cuffs. So I have some questions. But anyway, while I think period costumes obviously take a lot of effort, like even in the cases when they don't do that much research and they don't do like a fully accurate portrayal, it's still a lot of work. Like I think, and I've never tried this, but I just feel like this is the case, which is why I haven't tried it. But I think sewing a 1770s gown is probably one of the most labor-intensive garments to sew, point blank. Contemporary and late 20th century vintage costumes, on the other hand, are usually sourced and then styled. But for the nanny, even though costume designer Brenda Cooper sourced most of the clothing from department stores, she modified almost every single garment before it went on set. For example, there's this one striped coat that Brenda found while shopping, and she said that it was, quote, too big, too long, the wrong shape, and unflattering. She and her team reconstructed the coat to be form-fitting and sexy. Fran's style is very dependent on the tight-fitting silhouette, so a lot of her garments were altered or shortened to accommodate that signature fit. Fit is so important for the character's style that Fran actually said that in a lot of instances, Brenda would reach into her pantyhose and like pull on her butt so that everything was in the right position. Bold colors, patterns, textures.
We built the set in a certain tone of color so that she'd be able to wear anything without the set contrasting what she wore. So the whole set was designed around her wardrobe.
A lot of the clothes were also modified to look more embellished or to better match the other colors in the fit. For example, buttons were often changed to look more glamorous and showy. Brenda and her team sometimes added rhinestones or hemmed jacket lapels with different colors and fabrics to make everything look a bit more cohesive. Brenda also said this in an interview. For the most part, there's never a piece of clothing that came out of a store and went on set. It always got shifted or changed or embellished.
You think this look happens by accident?
One of the most obvious parts of Fran's style is heavy use of bold colors, prints, especially animal prints, and textures like sequin dresses and leather coordinate sets.
I think she liked leopard prints because, you know, it's kind of racy and sexy and very Queens. And, I think that's what her MO was.
In an interview with ID Magazine, Brenda talks about how this particular Moschino vest was one of her major references when designing The Nanny. Brenda had used this vest in a previous show she worked on with Fran called Princesses, but the vest was actually worn by Twiggy's character. Brenda said she loved the color, boldness, and form-fitting silhouette of the vest, and it became the inspiration for the rest of Fran's style. She says in an interview with Variety, I intentionally wanted to make a statement of style, wit, and humor, all combined. I wanted color, I wanted it to be sexy, and there was lots of color available in 1993. We would always shop in Beverly Hills. Going to Neiman Marcus was just like style heaven. Something that Fran Fine does really well is that she matches the colors in her outfit to make a very balanced look. For instance, this outfit that she wears in season 2, the magenta in her dress perfectly matches the magenta accents in the jacket, and she also wears a lot of coordinating sets and monochromatic outfits in general. This outfit she wears in season 3, the jacket and the skirt match, the printed vest matches with the printed hat, and the black purse matches the black turtleneck and black tights. All her outfits, while loud, are very harmonious, which I think makes her look more elegant and high fashion. If nothing matched, or if they just used a bunch of random clashing patterns, then she would have ended up looking really tacky instead. The designers. Fran Fine wears a lot of high-end designers like Moschino, Todd Oldham, Anna Sui, Chanel, just to name a few. It is admittedly pretty unrealistic because Fran claims allegedly to buy everything on sale at Loehmann's.
Do you like my party dress? Loehmann, 70% off.
She'll never shop retail again.
When it's very clear that most of her clothes are straight off the runway. There's a really great Instagram account called What Fran Wore, run by Shan Brown, and on it she sources some of Fran's outfits back to the designers. Brenda also worked with a lot of young and emerging designers at the time, like Val Puriu, who made this orange blazer worn in season 1. I feel like also using a lot of younger designers made Fran look a lot more fresh and fashion forward and adventurous. Fran's closet wasn't entirely designer though. Brenda has talked about sourcing from just about anywhere, including Kmart, garage sales, thrift stores. She even found a jacket that she used for Cece Babcock in the trash can because some other TV show had thrown it out. And even though I've criticized other characters before for not being able to afford the wardrobes that the costume designer gives them, I feel like in The Nanny, because the show is just so campy in a way, and I don't even know if I use that term right, but it's very fun, and a lot of parts aren't realistic to begin with. Like, for example, Fran Fine meets Fran Drescher in one episode.
Excuse me, Miss Fran Drescher, but I am your biggest fan.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God, you really do talk like that.
Who would make this up?
Like, it's just a very fun, lighthearted show that I think some detail like, oh, Fran couldn't afford this stuff on her realistic salary, doesn't take away from the show. And also they do break the fourth wall a bit with it, so I think that's fun as well.
Oh, just look at the clothes she's wearing. How could she afford to dress like that on her salary?
Oh, how I wish that I had a job where I could change into designer outfits every 5 minutes.
The layering technique. According to Brenda, there's a Fran Fine base formula: a short pencil skirt, a black turtleneck, opaque black tights, and black suede high heel stilettos. All of this is combined to create a sexy elongated base, and then Brenda would layer on cooler statement pieces. The other base formula, which I really only noticed in season 1, was the white shirt formula. This consisted of a white blouse as the alternative to a turtleneck. Brenda said she bought these blouses from Anne Fontaine Beverly Hills. Using a white blouse adds a neutral color and also elevates the outfit to look a bit more formal, aka more job appropriate. Later on in the show, the Fran formula deviates and we see Fran wearing less white blouses, more pants, more colorful turtlenecks, and a more diverse selection of shoes. This is partially because the show's budget increased as the series went on. In the first season, you actually see Fran re-wearing some of her pieces in different episodes. In an interview with Kohl's magazine, Brenda says, in the beginning it was turtlenecks and miniskirts, the black and pink tights, and black square heels, and then changing out the other pieces. As the budget increased, I would spend Monday and Tuesday shopping at Will. On Wednesday, we would do a fitting for a couple of hours, and we'd find the outfits. Also, after season 4, Sean Holly Cookson and Terry Gordon took over costume design because Brenda left to have children. In an interview with the Huffington Post, Brenda said they did a pretty good job maintaining the look after she left, but there were some decisions that she wouldn't have done. Scandalous. And honestly, I definitely did notice the change in direction, but because Fran gets pregnant in the 6th season, I thought maybe it was just because they were having trouble finding maternity wear that suited her style, but nice to know that they did actually change out designers. I feel very validated. Maybe my eye is pretty good after all. Now let's talk more in depth about the actual garments. The tops. I already talked about why the turtlenecks and the white blouses were essential for Brenda's layering technique, but it's also worth noting that in the 90s, especially the early 90s, white ruffly frilly blouses were in fashion in general. And I think as of recently, like within the last couple years, white frilly blouses have come back in fashion because of the whole cottagecore and picnic aesthetic. As someone who definitely bought into that trend and is now a proud owner of several white frilly blouses, I'd like to say that I don't think white frilly blouses will ever really go out of style. We saw them all the way back in the 18th century, so I think it's safe to say that they've withstood the test of time. My favorite ruffle blouse look is probably this outfit from season 1, episode 3. She's layered on a Moschino cheap and chic blazer, and I just love the scalloped detail of this blazer so much, as well as the form fit. I love how the ruffle pokes out through the cuffs, and I really love the exaggerated jabot look at the front. It's giving 17th century, and I love it. Fran also wore a lot of vests, particularly in the first season. According to Brenda, vests would add that sexiness to an outfit. I love vests. I think Brenda is totally right. I think recently sweater vests have been the big thing, but I think we're going to move into the structured vest look very soon, if not already. It just makes sense because I think the structured vest is like the marriage between the sweater vest and the corset, which are both arguably at the tail end of their time right now. And also, the 70s is majorly in right now, and the 70s was the time for vests. So my favorite vest look on the show is honestly this leather one that she wears in season 2. She's layered it over a white turtleneck and she's wearing a scalloped plaid skirt. I believe the ensemble is also Moschino. The plaid and leather definitely create an edgier look, but the lack of accessorization, the clean white turtleneck, and the soft scalloped hem of the skirt pull it back from being too punk. I also love this vest look. This is from season 2, episode 17. The red vest is by Donna Karan. And I don't know, it's just giving business on the top, party on the bottom. The mini shorts and the thigh highs definitely give the look that Fran Fine sexy touch. But I also just love the preppiness of the silky white blouse, simple vest, and tie combination. Plus, adding on the plaid blazer. I'm sorry, but Emily in Paris could literally never. The mini pencil skirt.
You know, everything that we did with a certain zhuzh that made it kind of sexy. And I think that we really kind of made the mini really synonymous with the 90s.
Okay, so Fran doesn't only wear mini pencil skirts. She also wears mom jeans and she wears pants throughout the entire show as well. But I would say that her most reliable garment is the mini skirt.
Mr. Sheffield fell in love with you when you were just a nanny and you didn't have any formal education or fit into his circle of friends.
Yeah, but I could fit into a size 2 miniskirt, and that kind of gave me an edge.
And Brenda was really insistent on this, shortening them as far as she possibly could. There's so many designer collections that were featured in The Nanny, and if you notice, if you look really closely, the skirt was definitely shortened. This is because Fran's character is supposed to be like, you know, sultry and inappropriate. Fran was also supposed to look the visual opposite of Cece Babcock, Max's high-strung business partner, who's very town and country and proper and a lot more conservative with her fashion.
Fine, I am perfect for Maxwell. I am dependable, respectable, and men are always drawn to my classic Swedish features.
So you're a Volvo.
Unfortunately for you, Mr. Sheffield wants to get his hands on something a little sportier that he can take the top down.
The miniskirt is also stereotyped as being a very youthful garment because they were first worn in the 1960s as part of the Youthquake movement. The designer Mary Quant is often credited for creating the miniskirt, but she has admitted that the skirts were rising in hemline already among London's street styles. Jenny Fenwick, who gifted a 60s dress to the Victoria and Albert Museum, said, "Mary Quant epitomized a style which was different to the norm and meant that teenage girls like me didn't have to look like their mothers." So not only does Fran wearing a miniskirt give her more sex appeal, I'm honestly thinking about maybe I shouldn't keep saying the word sex because I might get demonetized. I think it makes total sense for her character to cling onto a more youthful style. One of the main running jokes in the series is that Fran always lies about her age and pretends that she's a lot younger than she actually is.
Fran, are you a lot older than me?
Well, let's put it this way. When you're 20, I'll be 40. When you're 30, I'll be 40. When you're 40, you'll understand why I'm still 40.
Miniskirts were also very popular in the 90s due to the 60s revival trend. In a March 1991 article published in the San Francisco Chronicle, Trish Donnelly writes, Andre Carrege's architectural influence, easily spotted in the many 60s-style fashions in vogue this spring, has surfaced in the collections of top designers for fall as well. Claude Montana's line, for example, has strong echoes of Carrege, down to white ankle boots and silver accents. My favorite Fran Fine miniskirt look is this Vivienne Tam Mao Zedong skirt that she wears in Season 3, Episode 5. It actually comes in a set, but Brenda chose to put Fran in just the skirt. Vivienne Tam's Mao collection was the designer's breakout collection, And the collection actually led to her being dubbed Designer of the Month by Vogue for February 1995. The collection was a pretty political statement, symbolizing both the positive and negative effects Mao had on Chinese culture. Her ideas spurred a lot of controversy at the time, and actually, she initially had a lot of trouble because several Hong Kong manufacturers refused to produce her designs. But, you know, I really love Fran in the skirt because I just love a good, strong fashion reference in film and TV. I also love how simple the rest of her outfit is. It's all black, so it really brings attention to the skirt. And I think if Brenda did anything more, then it would just have been too much. The coordinating sets. As the show goes on, Fran starts to gradually wear more and more coordinated two-piece suits or sets, which usually consists of a blazer and a matching mini pencil skirt, but she also wears more casual sets and pantsuits as well. The blazer and miniskirt combo was really popular in the 90s, in part because of the success of Clueless. But even before Clueless, designers like Karl Lagerfeld and Anna Sui put out collections of matching blazers and miniskirts in 1994. Unlike 80s power suits, the 90s suits were sleeker, more form-fitting, more youthful, preppier, and they didn't have as big shoulder pads. My favorite set that Fran wears is probably this Anna Sui tartan set. I love the fur trim around the cuffs and the layering that Brenda did. She said that she added the yellow Donna Karan vest to make it sexier, and she added the shirt and tie underneath to make it sassy and elegant. The colors all matched, like even the pink is brought out by the pink blouse underneath, so yeah, I love all that good stuff. I also really love this Courage set from season 5, episode 8. You can see the little logo at the chest. It's straight up space age mod, but it totally works for Fran. I love the vibrant green, the white belts, the go-go boots, and headband. They even styled her hair to flare out in a super 60s way. I love the dedication. The dresses. Fran wears a lot of dresses in the show. One of the ways that Brenda made Fran's cocktail dresses less formal was by layering them with, you guessed it, a turtleneck underneath. Fran's long dresses are pretty elegant and follow the columnar silhouette that evening dresses of the 90s had, which were inspired by 1930s old Hollywood silhouettes. A couple of Fran's dresses have even showed up in other areas of pop culture, including this Bob Mackie dress that Sharon Stone wore in the 1995 movie Casino, and this Bob Mackie dress that Fran borrowed after Madonna wore it to the Oscars in 1991. My personal favorite of her dresses is this iconic Hervé Leger dress that I'm sure everyone who was on Tumblr has seen screenshots of, paired with her Moschino bag. This dress is honestly my dream little black dress. I do not currently own an LBD, and I probably won't unless it looks like this one. It's just so... I don't want to keep saying that word because I might get demonetized, but you know, it's that word and it's the perfect fit, and it just shows the right amount of cleavage with that delectable sweetheart neckline. I also really love this yellow Escada wool dress and coat that Fran wears in the last season. You can see she's pregnant, but she's still looking as fabulous as ever. The black and pale yellow combination is très chic, and once again, we definitely see some 60s influence in Fran's wardrobe. The shoes. The original Nanny heel was a 4.5-inch pump by Charles Jourdan. Brenda found copies of it at a JCPenney for $50, so she bought all of the ones that they had in the store in Fran's size and dyed them different colors to match Fran's outfits. The shoes were also suede, and that was purposeful because suede doesn't reflect light. Later on, Fran wears boots and sandals, but her shoes, for the most part, are usually black to create that long line we talked about earlier. Faux fur coats. In the 90s, furriers started producing a lot of fun fur coats, basically just fur in a bunch of wacky colors.
Oh, Nanny, fine. Cute coat. How many Muppets had to die for that?
And this was because animal rights activists were pushing a very resilient anti-fur campaign at the time.
Oh my God, Fran, what is that dead animal? Where? On your back.
Oh, this. Oh, I inherited it, but I refuse to accept it.
And a lot of furriers thought that if they dyed the furs in specific ways, it would help people not realize that what they were wearing was fur. Like, it would be easier for them to disassociate the fact that the fur came from an animal. But of course, this subsequently led the fake fur industry to also create a bunch of colorful, textured, patterned furs as well. Designer Isaac Mizrahi talked about how fake fur was redefining luxury, saying that, quote, "Up to this point, it was a very luxurious thing to have a fur coat. At this point, it's the least luxurious because you walk the streets and get harassed. It just seems much more luxurious to have a fake than to have a real one." Even Karl Lagerfeld wanted to initially send a collection of fake furs down the runway for Fendi's fall 1994 collection, but in the end, he was persuaded to make a collection of both real and fake furs. He's quoted in the New York Times saying, "It doesn't really matter anymore. Real furs often look like fakes." Fur-trimmed coats are super in today, especially shearling ones, because we're going through another 60s, 70s revival. They're called Penny Lane coats by a lot of people because of Kate Hudson's character, Penny Lane, in the movie Almost Famous. She wears a signature suede fur-trimmed coat, and I actually read that the costume designer, Betsy Heyman, was initially inspired by Shirley MacLaine's coat in The Apartment, which came out in 1960. This is probably Fran's most iconic fur look. It's once again another image that circulated Tumblr and Pinterest. The fit is so simple. It's just a turtleneck top, high-waisted shorts, and white sneakers. It's actually her tennis outfit in the episode, like she goes off and plays tennis. But the white coat and the sunglasses just give it the perfect LA Hollywood starlet energy. I'm pretty sure this is the same white coat that she's worn in other outfits, but this styling, so simple, yet so fabulous. It just goes to show that you don't need to over-accessorize or over-layer like maximalists like me to look good. Fran has a lot of really cool fur coat looks, especially in the last couple seasons, and it's honestly so hard to pick my favorite just because I want to wear them all. I really honestly just cannot pick. Accessories. Her most notable accessories, in my opinion, are the headbands that she starts wearing during seasons 3, and of course her opaque stockings, which I talked a little bit about earlier. Headbands were a borrowed accessory from the 1960s. Some people like to credit Hillary Clinton for repopularizing the look. Others attribute the look to Jean-Paul Gaultier's spring 1990 collection, which featured ultra-wide headbands. But I think overall, the 60s coming back was the biggest influence for the headband. Opaque tights similarly followed the 60s revival look. Brenda has talked about how she really doesn't like it when people call Fran trashy because she really tried hard not to make Fran look trashy. Not that trashy is a bad thing, by the way. Like, I think we've started to reclaim terms like trashy and bimbo lately, but, you know, it's a little bit too not nanny-like. But I think Brenda succeeded in her mission, and part of that is because Fran does wear opaque tights underneath all of her mini skirts. The bathrobes. And last but not least, this video would not be complete without acknowledging Fran's iconic collection of bathrobes.
The network didn't want originally the nanny to come down for breakfast in her bathrobe. They thought that it was inappropriate, and it was like, yeah, that's the point. She is inappropriate.
It also offers a visual juxtaposition between her and the Sheffields, who all get properly dressed up for breakfast.
Well, no one could ever replace you, Miss Fine. I mean, who else is going to turn up to breakfast in those loud, inappropriate bathrobes?
Fran is different, she's informal, and she never dresses like a proper nanny in the first place, so it just makes sense for her character.
See ya.
Oh, Miss Fine, wait.
Yes?
The bathrobes are mostly chenille robes made by Canyon Group. They were super popular on film and TV in the 90s and early 2000s. You can see Brad Pitt wearing one in Fight Club and Hilary Duff wearing one on The Lizzie McGuire Show. Brenda said that she did want to elevate the normal bathrobe silhouette though, so she added shoulder pads into all the robes to give them a more elegant 1940s Katharine Hepburn, Lana Turner look. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what your favorite Fran Fine look is or what other 90s trends you personally like. Yeah, I hope you had fun with me on this one. I know a lot of people have been asking me to do The Nanny for a long time now. I think it just goes to show how culturally significant The Nanny is after all these years. I heard that they're actually going to be doing a Nanny musical. That's been in the works. I don't know if COVID has stalled that. It probably has because Broadway shut down. But I'm really excited for that, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.